You are the first, man. You were on that. I don't even know if I'm it's funny because I've got some latency going on here from where I was watching the preview. You are the first light up. How's it going, man? What are you up to tonight? Whoa, Linda, the gamer girl. Nice. It's so cool to see you. Guess it's been about a year. Yeah, that's nice. YouTube isn't always as reliable with the notifications, is it? Yeah, it's been about a year since I think I saw you on the floor at Too Many Games. Doesn't look like that's happening, well, at least until September. Oh man, the AES copy of Krautbuster. I know everybody's waiting on that. It seems like I think I saw people were saying it's been 5 years in some cases. Is that right? 5 years that it's been in development. The MVS copy shipped first. That's kind of a bummer for everybody waiting on the AES. Fixing up an old PC. Man, good times. 486 DX maybe? Probably not. Man, it's so great to see like people that I recognize from comments, and then I got Light Up and Linda, who I've both actually met in person, which is cool. Yeah, going live isn't always great because you can't always, you know, edit things and fix things up a little bit, but yeah, it's cool for the interaction piece. Hey, MK Solid. What's your day job like? Honestly, today's probably not a good day to talk about that. But my day job is I work in IT, and it's been a lot of online Zoom stuff. So I stare at a computer screen pretty much all day at home in my office, and then that's kind of why I think I switched to the live stuff, because I'm doing it anyway with work. And it doesn't leave a lot of time because I'm in the office and working on real work stuff, right? And then it's like to turn around and do YouTube videos and film and edit and be in that same office for all that stuff again has been a little, it's been hard. So I've kind of just switched over to doing some of the live stuff last week and then this week as well. Yeah, when COVID-19 hit, it was another delay for for Krautbuster. Yeah, I think the mic might look a little bit bigger than it actually is, just because of where it's positioned in front of the camera. It's just a Blue Yeti. Yeah, definitely lurk. GW, what's up, man? Good to see you. Oh, Bobby, you're a network admin. Yeah, so probably the same. Oh yeah, government compliance. So I'm healthcare, so it's a lot of compliance and regulations and stuff for us too. And then when COVID hit, there's all this extra layer of stats and data collection and everything that's going on top of all of it. So I'm sure you're kind of maybe dealing with a similar type thing. This is Krautbuster. It's from NG Dev, just kind of responding here to RB 1033. So you can't download it. I don't know that any of the ROMs have been dumped from any of the games either. And I think there's kind of like this gentleman's agreement with the NeoSD and DarkSoft's flash cart that this won't run on that. So just to kind of promote the whole NG Dev as an independent developer. CT's asking, Krautbuster, it's an NG Dev game, so it's an independent game developed for the Neo Geo. Came out, I want to say maybe a couple months ago. Well, the second run came out. I got mine in the second round. Other people got their MVS copies before I did, just because I didn't put the money down for it early. But Yeah, it's kind of like a love letter to Metal Slug. I talked about it a little bit on the last stream, and people were asking about it because they saw I had it. So I thought, yeah, for today's purposes, just run some footage of it and let you guys watch that instead of watching me. Do I get overwhelmed with all the stuff I collect? Sometimes. I mean, I think that's kind of what I've been doing in the whole not really downtime, I guess, but I've been home more often and kind of going back through, looking at things and things I'm not playing, things that are in a closet. It's like, why do I have this? And I've been unloading some things that maybe don't necessarily mean as much to me, or, you know, there's no nostalgia tied to. So yeah, it can be daunting. I think I'm trying to focus in on the stuff that I really like at this point, because I'm getting older. I'm not playing a lot of things anymore. I don't have a lot of time, so it's more arcade driven than it has been in the past. Like RPGs and things like that are out. Yeah, I mean, I know what you're saying, Bobby, about IT. It's tough, and like IT healthcare is tough, and I've been doing that for a while now, and I always wonder, like, if doing IT for a different type of industry would like give a fresh look on that, because there's just a lot of repeating things that continue to be problems, and yeah, I wonder about that at times myself. Common Rider says he's been selling some things too. The audio's in and out of sync. That's unfortunate. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, so this is a little different tonight because I am using a different setup than I was the last time, because I was trying to give a little bit better feed from the video. But yeah, that's unfortunate. Is the gameplay actually in sync? 8-Bit Kids from Australia. Nice to see you. We had people from Australia, Brazil, and I want to say somebody was in from the UK last time too. Hey Retro, what's up, man? Good to see you. Yeah, online advertising. I can imagine what that's like. That's, yeah, I get it, man. Sometimes you just need a fresh outlook on stuff too. Sometimes it's, you know, it's been a couple years, you just want to try something new, apply the same skills that you have, but use it in a different industry. Oh yeah, that HAS Supergun is really sweet. I don't even think you can get those right now. I think those were kind of, I think they're sold out. We're waiting on another run of those, but those are really cool. Alfredo from Brazil, nice, man. And Lou Billy's from Australia. I got you. My mouth isn't synced up with. I did a couple tests before this because I know there's an issue with because the mic is USB, and then I'm taking a feed from one of my other cameras for because the webcam really sucks that I have. Keith Courage. Hey, Keith Courage. Retro Hacks, man, there's the guy. If you need mod work done, fixed my Open Ice arcade PCB, fixed my top loader Nintendo. Guy's done a lot of good work. If you guys need anything done, hit up Retro Hacks. I hope it's okay to say that and you're not like swamped and not wanting people to send you stuff right now. This is a real console capture. I saw this is yeah, Krautbuster running MVS on consoleized MVS from JNX. I did the capture, I think it was last night actually. Oh, Lily, thanks for confirming. Thanks for confirming our problems that we have with the sync. Appreciate that. From the downstairs living room. Fiction's Gamepad. What's up, man? Playing some Neo Geo. Keith Courage, good to see you. Yeah, do I think the TurboGrafx 16 minis will collect dust? I don't know. Mine's still hooked up. I actually like that a little more than when it was hard when I first started playing it because the first game I went to was Ninja Gaiden, and then I went to Superstar Soldier, and those are like the two games that I think have the worst lag. But I've played some other stuff on it, Adventure Island, a little bit of Splatterhouse, and some of the other titles on the PC Engine side, and it's fine. So I've actually been enjoying the TurboGrafx 16 Mini maybe as much as I did the SNES Mini when it first came out. Hey Jared, what's up, man? Good to see you. Yeah, True Sinister. It's definitely a lot like Metal Slug. I mean, I think the one thing I'm watching right now on the feed, she has a mask on, and you can pick up different masks, and they give you different abilities. And then when you get hit or take a shot, you lose the mask and that ability, and then it's back to being like a one-hit wonder type thing. But yeah, it's basically like a love letter in Metal Slug. That was the whole, you know, that was the driving force behind the game when NG Dev put this together. The candy cabs, man, those things, I think I was lucky because there was a guy in Utah that had those. I just scouted them for a while I really wanted a Blast City, and then he had an Astro City and was looking to move them together, and I didn't really want to buy two arcade machines at the same time, but he had some kind of weird thing he had worked out for like shipping them, and it was going to be like the cost of one to ship both of them, so I caved and just bought them both. So I got lucky, but I've watched those go up in price, and I've watched lesser quality ones get sold for, you know, $1,700, $1,800 here and there. Now, if you're on the West Coast, I mean, I'm talking from somebody's perspective that's in the United States. If you're in the West Coast, like I think those things are a little bit easier to find. Maybe even in South America, because I've actually seen some graveyard shots of the ones in South America. But yeah, I don't know that there's really a good tip for us on the East Coast. They do seem to be more difficult to find, and you end up paying for them, or you end up having them shipped from somewhere. Hey APW, thanks for saying that about Lily. Lily's been a good sport. Like, again, I was kind of talking earlier about it's been hard working from home, being in the office, being on the computer, and then turning around and then editing YouTube videos, just because like my entire life would be spent just sitting in that office on the computer. And so I'm trying to find other ways to like do things for YouTube, and obviously this is one of them. And then playing games with Lily has been you know, that's been fun. So it's a kind of a nod back to when I first started doing YouTube, and I was like, oh, Let's Plays, because that's what everybody does. And you know, it's a lot harder to get started, I think, than people realize. And at this point, it just, you know, it's just fun, and it was a fun concept to put something in her hands, you know, the Neo Geo, and she knows it's in the house, but she's never really played anything, you know, before. So I don't know, it was just kind of something fun to do. Nacho Libre, what's up, man? Oh, you got the retro. Says he's got the Neo Geo Arcade Stick Pro. Yeah, the $99 sale. I did see that. It's not bad. The Neo Geo Arcade Stick Pro, I know it's still, yeah, I mean, it's $100, so it's not cheap. And the Neo Minis were selling for like, what, $30, $35 not too long ago. The Neo Geo Arcade Stick Pro, it does fix some of those problems that we saw at the Neo Geo Mini, but yeah, I actually like it. It's a decent arcade stick. It surprised me. Yeah, Super RetroPie. Difficult to find candy cabs in central US as well. I know I've watched a little bit of Retro Ralph, and he and I have, like, we've messaged a little bit on the side, and he was kind of indicating that in the Southwest, in Arizona, and I don't know why that would be, but he said it does seem to be a little bit of a hotbed for picking up arcades, and he said he can find things, not easy, but he has a pretty good selection of things to kind of go through and make decisions on. Oh wow, you found 3 for under $400 a piece. That's amazing. Yeah, I mean that's unbelievable. Really, you could sell. I mean, I have seen them go for almost $2,000 for one, and it's not even in that great a shape. True Sinister, you live near Torrance. My family on the West Coast lives in Torrance. I used to visit Torrance all the time as a kid. I don't get out as much as I used to. Nacho Libre, this isn't Metal Slug. This is Kraut Buster from NG Dev. It's kind of like a nod to the Metal Slug games. Hey, Arcade Ren, there he is. Man, thanks for stopping by. Neil's in here too. Yeah, the Neo Mini was expensive. The Neo Mini was real expensive at one point. When it first came out, I think I want to say it was like 90 or $100, and then it didn't even come with a controller. There was like $20 for 20 or $25 maybe for the CD controllers that you had to buy with it. So anybody that was buying the Neo Mini, you were in it for like 120, $140 if you wanted 2 controllers. El Segunda. Nice. Hey, Ray. Henderson, Nevada. Got people all over. Oh, Super RetroPie finished Devs last night. That's such a great series. If you guys haven't seen the show Devs on Hulu, definitely check that out if you get a chance. If you don't have Hulu, maybe you've got Kodi or other ways to watch that, but I would definitely recommend checking it out. Nick Offerman from Parks and Rec is in it, and he plays a much more serious character, and it's a really good sci-fi series. Oh yeah, if you got the Neo Mini for $30, like there's no complaining on that. Yeah, the arcade, the Neo Geo Arcade Stick Pro in Christmas edition. I mean, I wouldn't be at all shocked to see that. Maybe that's even been released and I just haven't seen the news. But I mean, they kind of really milked the Neo Minis, right? Like they put those out in all different colors, and then we saw the Samurai Showdown clear versions, the white, the blue, the red. Those aren't bad. If I would have seen a Neo Mini Samurai Showdown like clear for $30, that would be tough to turn down just as like a desk piece. San Diego, all you guys are in California. You guys should have no problems picking up candy cabs if you want one out in California. Hey Fitz, what's up? Good to see you, man. Zion. Oh yeah, Neo Turf Masters. I mean, that's a great game too. I don't know if that's one that, you know, it's a great like let's play or stream footage or whatever, but yeah, that's a great game just to sit and play. I know on one of the forums and Facebook groups they do a monthly tournament for Neo Turf Masters, and everybody kind of like sends in their scores. I don't participate in that because I'm not very good at it, but it's cool that that's still alive and people are still playing Turf Masters. New York. Yeah, I'm in Pennsylvania. I think people were asking last time, they were guessing Florida and California, and I wish. I'm not in either of those states right now. Rainy and gray Pennsylvania. Yeah, I would like to see a Neo Geo mini hack. I don't know that we've seen anything too great for that just yet. Likewise with the Arcade Stick Pro, I thought for sure when we unlocked the games and then that ROM came out that you could basically load to it to give you all the additional arcade games. I think there's a ton of like Game Boy games and stuff on there. It was just a little clunky and it kind of made the thing feel cheap. I didn't really like it, but I thought for sure that was opening up the door for like a true hack similar to what we have for like the other mini consoles, and it just didn't, it just hasn't happened yet, and I don't know why that is. Hey Jared, you heading out? Oh yeah, Baseball Stars. Baseball Star 2 is great. Hey Brian, what's up man? Yeah, running Kraut Buster. Just A little bit of that tonight on the MVS. Kraut Buster, boy, that's a good question. I don't even remember. I want to say it's like $400, and you're making me disclose that while I think Lily is watching downstairs. Yep, there she is. So, thanks for that special formula. Oh yeah, the pandemic hairdo, getting called out on that. Yeah, I mean, there's not really much to do anymore. I can't. It just kind of like is what it is. It's, yeah. I mean, you just put some stuff in it and smear it around, and yeah. Yeah, I mean, I actually like the white version of the Arcade Stick Pro better than I thought I would, but yeah, I could definitely see black being. I mean, that's a classic arcade stick color. I could also see red with, like, give me the white stripes across it like the MVS. I don't know why SNK seems to keep snubbing the big red color scheme for whatever reason. I know there's a lot of, you know, nods back to the Japanese stuff, which is fine, but a lot of players in North America have love for the big reds, and it wouldn't be all that terrible to see something that wasn't a Christmas edition console come in red as a nod to the big reds of North America. Oh, a dust storm? Yeah, I don't need any of that. Brian's asking, did I pay for it in 2015? No. I actually knew that people were waiting for Kraut Buster to be released for a while, and so I just didn't want my money to be held. I just didn't want my money to be held for that long. And I know it's an independent developer, and you know, I support what they're doing. That's awesome to get new Neo Geo games, but I just couldn't commit to that. So when they opened up releases for the second run, and the first had already, like, I think been queued or started shipping, I felt more comfortable going in on the second batch. So I think I still waited like 9 or 10 months until they shipped that. Hey, thanks, Sinister. I really appreciate that. Thanks for the tip tonight. Yeah, I do smile when I'm angry. That is kind of one of those things that happen when yeah, it's just one of those quirks, and it kind of shows on some of those videos that I've been doing. What's up, Little Migs? This is Kraut Buster for from NG Dev for the Neo Geo. Yeah, you're right. The white color's definitely yellowed. Even my Super Nintendo is kind of got like that off color. Like the bottom of it, the shell just turned a different color gray than it was. I think that has to do with the flame retardant like compound that goes into the plastic that was required. Lily, there's no way I'm letting you cut my hair. Oh, wow, you're in Korea, Zion. Well, first, thanks for your service, man. That's awesome. You're a soldier in the U.S. Army over in Korea. I know that's not always. I mean, it's a very politically charged area of the world, so I don't know if tensions run high for you guys often over there or not. But thanks for the service. I work in IT. I was just kind of talking with Sinister a little bit about that. I do healthcare IT from the comfort of my own home and my office, so not nearly as dangerous or putting my life on the line like someone like yourself. "17 years, wow! Good for you, man. Thank you for that." Hey, Marco Polo, thanks for yeah, calling out the channel. I appreciate that. Bromine, yeah, there you go. Super Retro Pie called out the compound that was in the plastics for the consoles, turning the paint. Trying to catch up on the chat here. Oh, Arcade Ren said he got a good haircut from his wife. I don't know, like, I feel like, how bad could this really get? I mean, at some point it becomes stylish, and I could move out to the West Coast with some of you guys. Oh, the Sega Dreamcast, yeah, like all those consoles seem to, like, especially the light-colored ones, seem to turn. Yeah, there's a retro bright process. I saw Brian's comment here about how to fix the discoloring of the SNES. There's stuff called retro bright, and there's people. I saw you put it on the console, and then you put it like in a plastic bag, and you leave it out in the sun to kind of reverse the process. I know some people have said that over time it just reverts back, but some of those things look really good. I know Todd's Nerd Cave, he was doing that with some C64 equipment. Probably like a year ago I was watching like him post pics on Twitter. Turned out pretty good. Yeah, the candy cabs are not easy to get. They're very regional, it seems, and so in the Northeast of the United States, it's definitely not something that seems to be very common. Florida does seem to have candy cabs. I've seen them pop up in Texas just from different forums and stuff that I watch from time to time. And California seems to have plenty of them. There's a guy out there, KC, on the Arcade Projects forum, and he's got like a warehouse of arcade or candy cab arcade machines. They're not always in the best of shape. They often require work, and sometimes there's forum members that'll offer to go and look at them and like scout them and say like, okay, you should get this one for other forum members who are having them shipped. But if you're in California, that's probably not a bad route to go. Oh man, no. I'm reading. I think it's Bonode Gay. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Yeah, I mean, I didn't have the Neo Geo when I was a kid. I mean, it's kind of like something that, you know, as an adult, I felt like, hey, I'm old enough, I could spend my own money and actually get that mythical console and collect some of those games. So, I mean, I didn't have it as a kid. I don't know anybody that had that or a TurboGrafx 16. The TurboGrafx 16 wasn't a price thing. It was just kind of like one of those more obscure consoles here in the U.S. for at least, you know, in my area anyway. But yeah, I didn't have a Neo Geo as a kid. Hey Corey, what's up, man? Speaking of the Northeast, up in Maine. Oh yeah, Western Canada. That doesn't surprise me either. A warehouse full of arcade machines. I was talking about KC in California. I'm not really sure where he's located. He's on the Arcade Projects forum, and he lists pictures and stuff that I think he does cargo containers and has stuff shipped in. He gets like the Vulix cabs, Blast Cities, Astro Cities. He had like one of those like big ass Darius Burst cabinets. It has like a bench, and I think it's two big like LCDs. It's ridiculous. It's a massive machine. Actually, Linda, the gamer girl who was in here earlier, she had pictures of one on one of her videos, one of the arcade videos that she did. I think I've only ever seen one in person, but he had two of them up on eBay. So yeah, he gets stuff for sure if you're out there. Oh, Lily. The warehouse full of arcade machines is not your basement. Yeah, the candy cabs can be pricey. I mean, again, it's all regional. It's all supply and demand driven. So you probably don't pay as much for them if you're picking them up out in California. But then if you're like here on the East Coast, like if I tried to sell mine, I mean, I'm not going to, but I would start them high because no one else is selling them, and I don't really want to give them up. So. Oh, Nam 1975, another classic Neo Geo game. That was one of the first 10 cartridges that I bought for Neo Geo because it was one of the early games I played in the arcade. I really love that. That's one of those games. Nam is one of those games I really feel like you need the arcade stick for. I don't know. I don't. I do like the CD controllers, but I'm just better at it with the actual stick. Yeah, your TG16 collected dust when you played your Genesis and SNES. I could see that. I mean, the Genesis and Super Nintendo were really like the next gen beyond TurboGrafx 16. It was always about the next thing back when we were kids, like in the 90s. Like the leaps in technology were giant leaps. They felt like giant leaps. So I could definitely see that. CT's asking the tour of the game room. Yeah, I mean, this right now, I don't really know if I'm giving anybody a tour of this right now. This is, it's a little trashed. I do have a 4-day weekend on deck here, so maybe if I get a chance, I'll put some stuff together. I should probably show some things in the basement, too, that I've been working on. I don't own any other NG Dev carts. This is, excuse me, this is the only NG Dev cart that I own. Yeah, Andy's seconding that game room tour video. It's funny. I mean, during the quarantine, I've been, somebody else asked earlier. I've been going through and kind of cleaning up and sending boxes and stuff out that I've been unloading, trying to clean things up a little bit and get rid of some of the clutter. So, it might be a good time to actually do it. Yeah, Frank, it was amazing to actually get a Neo Geo. Yeah, I mean, it was that price tag even now is, I mean, you think about like, $500 or $200 for a cart. Now that's a lot of money, but then think back like, 25, 30 years ago, like that's crazy money back then. Yeah, I would agree. The Hamster releases on PS4 I heard are good, and the Switch releases are actually really good too. Oh, Mercs and Street Smart. Yeah, I know both of those pretty well. Oh, Streets of Rage 4? So that's funny. I do have the physical cart ordered from Limited Run Games. I know there's a whole debacle around that showing up on Amazon and whatever, but I don't have a Switch right now, so I'm going to have to wait to pick up another Switch until I play Streets of Rage 4. And yeah, those are Sega CD boxes. Actually, the top shelf that you can probably see are all 3DO games, and then underneath that are my Sega CD games. Yeah, that's a lot of requests here for a game room tour. I'll go through some stuff and put something together probably in the next month or two. Yeah, Gunlord's awesome too. I see Jet Set Baroni's calling that out. I want to get that for Switch. That looks like it's really like the I don't know if it's I don't think it's a new Gunlord. I think it's the older version, but they enhanced it for Switch. Definitely want to check that out. Oh yeah, Corey wants to see the basement. I got to clean that up too before I show anybody any footage of the basement. I don't even want to go there, Lily, about all the eBay nonsense that I went through with people this week. Mondro Music, what's up, man? Good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, Demo Kirby, I get it. I mean, I can't even imagine having kids running around, like, tossing things. I don't even have kids, and so I don't even have an excuse for this. Magician Lord, yeah, that's a great game too. I mean, that is the premier game for, well, premier as in first, right? Like it's a premier, like the launch title for Neo Geo. No, I've never had any leaks in the basement. We do actually. Our house sits on top of a spring, and we've got some bad drainage issues around the sides of the house, but thankfully no water actually in the basement. And the basement, it's a little deceiving because the basement, my one friend from Texas was saying this isn't a basement, this is basically just another floor. But like the house is kind of like on a hill, right? And then so the basement goes out the back, so it's below the first floor, but there is a ground level entrance out the back of the, it's a walkout, if you know what I'm talking about. So that's actually what makes it easy for getting arcades in and out. Oh, Zion, he's asking about Lily being cool. Lily actually is pretty cool. Like I'll give her that. She pretty much lets me be as far as things go. She took the news of additional arcade machines this week pretty well. I think I showed a picture. I showed a picture on Twitter, but I didn't necessarily go into detail. There was a twin Daytona arcade machine that went up in Maryland this week for sale on the Coin-Op Warehouse on Facebook. And I know one side of it works, and I was messaging the guy, and I'm pretty sure I can fix it, right? So $400 Daytona twin cabinet, and I bought it, and so Lily was pretty cool with that overall. Am I gonna give all my games to my kids? Is that a question for me? I don't have kids, so I don't know. Unless we have a kid soon. I have a hard time believing a child now, and I don't mean this to be to dissuade anybody. I have a hard time believing that a child now would appreciate the stuff that we have the way we do. It's just there's just so much nostalgia tied to this stuff growing up with it. I think the whole internet age, watching that come to be as a thing, right? Watching technology progress, cell phones, that whole era, and just being a part of it, and going from not having any of it to where we are today, and making that journey with technology and watching it unfold. I think that does something to you, and it changes your opinion and how you perceive games and technology in general. And I don't know that everybody born now would have that same feeling. I don't know if I'm explaining that right, but I'm not saying that they won't enjoy games or whatever, but seeing a CRT in an arcade machine, that means something different to us who were in that era, as kids. Whereas now it's like, well, why would you want that? Like, an LCD is so much better. It costs less and it weighs less. It's flat, gives a better picture, right? Like, I think you might have a hard time explaining things like that. Like, I think Atari is a series that, or a game system that people often introduce kids to because the games are simplistic and they're relatively easy. They're one button, there's a stick, and but I don't know. I don't know if kids would appreciate things the way. I mean, I'm making a blanket statement, obviously, but yeah, I don't know. It's hard. It's hard. I try to think about things before my time, like in the '60s or even like the early '70s, and I don't know. Like, I don't know. It's hard for me to draw a comparison, but yeah, it's an interesting topic. Oh God, 60,000 in arcade games stolen first part of May. Oh my gosh. I hope there's insurance on that stuff. Oh, what decomposed animal will appear in the seg? I hope nothing. It looks the Daytona machine looks really clean. That was actually another factor in why I bought it, because cosmetically the machine looks like it's in really good shape. I do think emotional driven and attachment is what drives a lot of retro. It's interesting because I think there's a lot of retro styled games that come out for modern consoles, new stuff, and I think there's good games and companies who do that well, like Shovel Knight is pretty good, right? And all that, but and there's others, but for the most part, if I'm going to play a retro style game, I just go back and I play, Nintendo or Super. I want to play like the original stuff. I don't really. There's exceptions to that. I mean, obviously we're watching Kraut, which is a nod back to that era, and I think NGDev did a good job with this, but I think I mentioned on the last stream, I don't know, like, I've played it a few times. I like it. I think they did a great job, but I still would rather play Metal Slug. So that's just me, but I know there's probably other people that feel that way as well. Hey, Corey. Yeah, Atari. Grew up with Atari, and I can't touch now. I think that video I did a few weeks ago. I don't even have my 2600 hooked up right now. Yeah, Doomslayer. I do think there's a lot taken for granted. You're right, and it's yeah. I think studying history that's a really cool hobby. I used to enjoy history a lot when I was in like high school and college, and I did AP history as a nerd in high school, and then when I got to college, it was kind of more just private like readings and stuff because my curriculum didn't allow for me to just go off and take history classes. But it's always cool. I love I love reading about history. You ever just kind of go off on like you start looking up something and then you read about something or a figure in history and then you like click on them and then you're reading about that and then you come across like some type of event that they were tied to, then you click on that and you just end up like 30 minutes go by, you're learning about all kinds of random things that you hadn't planned on for the day. Hey, Yellow and Black, good to see you. Oh yeah, it's funny. So we're well past that. Looks like the the footage looped, so it's just playing through Krautbuster again. It is a hockey mask, and the masks in Krautbuster give different abilities to the character. So I want to say that one is I think makes you a little bit more powerful. There's a wolf mask that gives you speed, and there's another one too that I'm blanking on right now. Do I remember the first time I saw a Neo Geo out in the wild? I do, and actually I started a video on it last May talking about, it was just kind of like a quick 2-3 minute thing I was doing, and I wanted to kind of give that background story, the Neo Geo origin, if you will. I do very much recall that. It was at a sports bar of all places, and I loved it. So I got to get that video done and put that out. It kind of explains everything with a little tongue-in-cheek. Am I complete with the MVS collection, Mark? No, unfortunately, I'm still missing Real Bout Fatal Fury. As a 32-year-old, I despise the current obsession with the 90s. I know. I can imagine that's probably annoying for somebody. I get it. Like, I'm pretty obsessed with the 90s and going back. And I think to Lily's dismay, I think my sunglasses for this year are very 90s styled. And I'm not going to lie to any of you. I bought a pair of Reebok pumps during Mother's Day weekend because there was like a 30% off coupon. I was like, Reebok pumps, they still make those? So I'm probably stuck. I'm probably one of those people that are stuck in the 90s. Oh, Hextall, yeah. Hextall, there's a guy that didn't take any shit as a goalie. That whole Chris Chelios fight, I'll never forget that. It was amazing. Yeah, Real Bout Fatal Fury is the game I'm missing. Yeah, 80s nostalgia. I think it's interesting because that the 80s and 90s are they're similar, but they're so different too. And then you even take another step back at the 70s, and there's very distinct things about those decades. And it's just, yeah, you're right. There's cycles. I think it'll be interesting to see what happens with Stranger Things, which I know is a little off topic, but they clearly started off with that whole 80s theme and are tying into that. I wonder if as we get further, I don't know if next season's the last one or not that they're doing, but I'm wondering if they would enter into the 90s as the kids got older. I kind of had hoped to see that. Hey, Kabir. British Knights. Brian, that's crazy you brought up the British Knights. I was Googling British Knights probably like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I was stunned that they were still making those too. Remember MC Hammer advertising those and trying to sell them? like to know if, yeah, all my MVS games are originals. I did have some, well, the only reproduction I have is Ironclad, and that's because I made it myself because there is no Ironclad MVS cart for that was ever released. It's a CD game, but you can hack together an MVS cart. Oh man, somebody stepped on your pumps? That's brutal. What color pumps did I get? Oh man, they definitely were not $500, the ones I got. I think they were like $100 shipped with that coupon I had. I'm gonna just disclose, don't anybody judge me. I got, I think they're like a seafoam green, purple, and yellow. They're like the pump court edition, like they're like tennis pumps, like a nod bat, but they're styled based on a 90s design that wasn't used, which is why I really like them. Yeah, that's brutal, man, that you got I mean, you got 50K back out of losing 60K of games. I mean, at least you got something, I guess. There's people that aren't. That's a good reminder because there's stuff for me that I probably need to start looking at from an insurance perspective. British Knights. Oh god, no, I won't be getting any parachute pants. Yeah, the new Reebok. You're right. The new Reebok pumps in general, they're not great. Some of those, like, I think what are they, the Fury editions? I just wasn't feeling those, but the 90s styled tennis court versions I thought were okay, and I was really more impressed when they had like a 90-day return policy anyway, so I was like, all right, I'll buy them, see what they look like, and if I don't like them, I'll just send them back. And I actually liked them a lot more in person than I thought I would. You've watched Back to the Future like 10 times. That's funny. Which Back to the Future is your favorite? You've got... I don't know that anybody has ever said they like the second one the best. I mean, the first one seems to be the go-to. I'd be curious if anybody says otherwise. Andre Agassi, definitely. Michael Chang. Michael Chang, I think, was who Reebok signed to do the pumps back in the day. That was their guy. Oh, Shaq. Paps, there he is. Speaking of MVS collection, Paps working on quite the MVS and AES collection of his own. Any games I'm looking forward to this year? I mean, I really was looking forward to finding out more about the Metal Slug game that they're supposedly working on. I mean, I don't know if we'll get that this year or not, but I was looking forward to that. As far as, like, I think the last stream, people were asking me questions about the Xbox and PlayStation 5, and I don't know. I'm just not... I might be done, like, buying new consoles that aren't Nintendo consoles. I just don't think I'm going to go back to that. You know, we were talking about accumulating games and collections and products and stuff, and I just don't think that I have a need to do that, and I don't have time to play this stuff as much as I used to, so it just kind of, you know, I would say Metal Slug, and I know that's probably not a popular answer. Back to the Future 3, okay. Back to the Future 2 is awesome. I did like, in Back to the Future 2, see if anybody remembers this, Pizza Hut ran a promotion, and you could get the sunglasses or models of, like, the sunglasses that they had in the film at Pizza Hut. I used to have, like, the pink ones that were like a triangular cut, and I think the other one was a diamond. I think they had, like, yellow arms on them, but they had, like, all different styles. Yeah, I mean, I like Back to the Future. I like them all. Like, I like 2 and 3. I just, you know, the first one always stands out. It's kind of like the Indiana Jones trilogy. Like, it's hard to not go with Raiders. I mean, as your favorite, but I don't know. Other people may have other opinions on that. Mister, are you guys currently in lockdown? I'm in London and can barely step out of my house. Yeah, we're still like what's called red here, so there's not a whole lot happening, and I think some of the counties in the state that I live in the U.S. have gone to yellow, meaning more things are opening up and you're able to go and do more. But for the most part, work from home is still a big thing for many people and will continue to be. We were supposed to go back to the office June 5th or the week after June 5th. And our CIO just put the kibosh to that, and we're going to push that out a little bit further. And I heard a rumor internally from another high-level exec that we may not even go back until the end of August or early September at this point. Oh, yeah, Chris McVeigh knows those sunglasses that I'm talking about. Do I collect action figures? Not really. I have stuff that I haven't gotten rid of, much to Lily's dismay, from my childhood. That's still in the basement. So collecting from the standpoint of I still have held on to those. I have some amiibo, and that might be an understatement. I do have a fair amount of amiibo, but I don't know if you consider those action figures. I don't really go out of my way to collect those. Temple of Doom, there it is. Kabir says Temple of Doom's his favorite. So definitely people that like the other ones outside of Ragers. Yeah, Paps, you're in Montgomery County. I remember you saying that. I'm starting to fall behind on the chat here. Yeah, you're right. It's not a. I'm sorry. You're right. It's a quadrilogy. You're right. If you count that fourth movie, I try to forget that. Actually, as far as the fourth movie goes for Indy, I actually don't mind the story. I like the sci-fi element to it. I thought that was really cool, but I just hated like the whole Shia thing. I hated. I really just wanted to see Indy and Marion, and I thought like that would have been really cool. There were just too many other characters, and then throwing Shia in there and some of the silliness and stuff, like, I don't know. It turned out to not be a great film, as we all know, but I don't mind the premise of the story of Crystal Skull. Indiana Jones 64. See ya, man. Take care. Be safe up in Canada. Thanks for stopping by, man. Yeah, that's okay. I mean, I get it. I get why people like Crystal Skull. I mean, it was nice just to get Indiana Jones, get another movie. I was pretty excited, but anytime you revisit something like that, like, it's always something that can be set you up for disappointment, I should say. Oh yeah, the giant ants. I forgot about that scene too. Yeah, it was the swinging on the vines that killed it for me. Yeah, Kabir, it's interesting. So I have a friend who actually worked as he still works as a set manager for various films. He's actually working for Marvel right now out in California, and he worked on not Last Crusade. He worked on Crystal Skull at the time, and he said he's rarely starstruck, but seeing Harrison Ford stand with the whip and the fedora, he said it was just kind of like, it was like one of those obscure moments that in time where you don't know what to do. Like, it's amazing. He said it was so cool. But he talked to me a little bit about Crystal Skull and how he said he could kind of see the movie getting ruined as they were going through things because he was securing set locations for them. And Spielberg and Lucas were like canceling it. Like the whole like waterfall scene that ended up being like all CGI. He had secured a set out in Hawaii and had it locked down for a week for them to come and film. And he's like, yeah, like 2 days before they were all supposed to come out, set up, film. they canceled, and they're like, we're just going to green screen CGI this thing, and he said a lot of it was family and kid related. Like they just those two guys, like they were doing the movie for fun, but ultimately couldn't wait to get back home every day. So he said it was just kind of hard because you kind of feel that the movie was going to be ruined before it came out. Somebody asked if I like Transformers, and I liked it as a kid. I don't collect them. I don't have a whole lot. I couldn't tell you a lot about Transformers either. Ooh man, who would you pick as an actor for a remake of Indy? Yeah, I would toss that out to the group here. I don't even know. Like that's so hard. You know, I don't know. I mean, for a while there, I think people were rumoring Chris Pratt, but I don't know. Oh man, the new RoboCop. Yeah, I went to see that in the theater. I ended up with, I had free passes to that for some obscure reason. I don't remember why, but I went to see that for free, thankfully. And yeah, it's not good. I really, honestly, until you just mentioned that, I did forget about that. As a gamer, did I like Ready Player One? I thought it was okay. Like I watched it and I thought it was all right. I liked, seeing all the Easter eggs and that aspect was cool. I had so many people tell me that reading the book was far better. There's so much more to the book, which is always the case. GoBots over Transformers. Nobody has ever said that, Brian. Come on. Yeah, Lily, actually I was thinking about that when you said that. That guy didn't do a terrible job. I don't know who that is, but he didn't do a terrible job. And I like that Solo movie more. As my friend Jason says, Solo was a better movie than it had any right to be. Ryan Gosling as the new Indy, I could see that too. Yeah, Ryan Gosling, I thought he was really great in the Blade Runner movie. And that's speaking of Harrison Ford too. There's a little tie-in. That Blade Runner movie was phenomenal, and it got like zero credit. Like, I mean, critics seemed to like it, but nobody went to the theater to see that. I did watch Wreck-It Ralph one like Saturday morning by myself. I actually enjoyed that more than I should have. And Nacho Libre asked about Top Gun. I am definitely jacked for a Top Gun movie. Tom Cruise, that's a guy who's been pretty timeless himself, just cranking out movies, and they're not bad. They're not blockbuster, or not. They are blockbusters. They're not like Academy Award type films, but yeah, that guy's kind of holding it down. Mark Wahlberg. Yeah, the Blade Runner movies are great. Like, if you haven't watched those, I mean, I don't know that that's a generational thing. I mean, I hope if you're into sci-fi and you like movies, you can set aside, current filmmaking, CGI, and all that kind of stuff, and just kind of go into it recognizing when the movie was made. The first Blade Runner is great, and then the second one, to follow that up years later, I don't know that they could have done any better. Retro gaming is in some ways an old man hobby. Like, it's funny, like talking to other YouTubers and stuff, like, I've got like a little niche carved out here with some arcade things and Neo Geo and people who like that, but I mean, it's all Fortnite. If you're doing Fortnite or, Switch or PS4, PS5 stuff and covering all that, like, that's where everybody, all the young crowd is right now, and that'll get you numbers. But covering the older stuff, it is kind of popular still, but it's also saturated. Oh, the Lando character? Yeah, I will say, I would agree with you, Andy. both of those guys were great in that movie. You could definitely make the argument that Lando outshined Han in that movie. I would, I'm not going to fight you on that one. 4K Blu. I still don't have a 4K Blu-ray player. Yeah, Mad Max. I know. Surprisingly, so I'm not a huge Mad Max fan. I mean, I appreciate it for what it is. I would never bash the movies. It's just not my thing. But a lot of people have said that. Yeah, that recent Mad Max movie was really well done and in the same vein as the originals. When did you first get a Neo Geo? I mean, it's... I still don't have an AES. I think people are surprised by that. So I don't have an AES, like the home console. I've gone through various iterations of consoleized MVS boards, starting with one probably, I don't know, years ago, maybe 10 years ago, and it was really clunky. It had like composite video out. It wasn't very good. And then from there, just kind of, worked my way up and had the Neo Geo Omega after that. I would say, the answer to your question is probably about maybe 10 years ago, but I don't have an AES. Captain Retro in the house. Look at this. The pinball wizard and the king of pickups, Captain Retro. Catching up on some chat here. In my opinion, do I think the Arcade Archives port of Neo Geo games are good on the Switch? I do. I do think that. I think earlier we mentioned that I have Metal Slug 3. Well, it's funny. I don't have a Switch right now, so hopefully that's still tied to my Nintendo account. But I bought Metal Slug 3, Neo Turf Masters, and I also bought Shock Troopers, and all of those played great. They're I mean, if you don't have a Neo Geo and you want to play Neo Geo games, you definitely grab those Switch ports by all means. Somebody was saying the PS4 was really good too for the hamster ports. It's funny, Fitz. I see you're mentioning Scott Pilgrim versus the World. I should say I know people were talking about that on Twitter this week, but I didn't know why. I knew that there was a lot of chatter about it, but I didn't see that. I guess that's the hype around it. Captain Retro, what are you working on, man? I saw... Did you sell that Street Fighter pinball machine you had? I might be interested if Lily's not listening. No, I'm just kidding. I can't buy another machine right now. Mutation Nation. Yeah, that's a good beat 'em up. I mean, it's as good a beat 'em up as the Neo has. Burning Fight just is not good. Yeah, you're right. So the AES consoles, I actually don't think that's a bad route to go at this point, because if you're gonna buy the AES, you're right. The actual cartridges are ridiculous. There's a handful of games that you can still get that are relatively cheap from a Neo Geo perspective, but you could get the AES, you could get component cables for it, and then you could get a Neo SD or the Darksoft cart and just be done. If you want to play on original hardware, that might be a way to go. Oh, we worked for a month to save up for it. That's awesome, man. Don't get rid of that. Those are the kinds of things like I was talking, I think, on the last stream about the 3DO that I got, and I saved money to buy that, and it's not nearly as good as a Neo Geo, but I can't give that up because there's a story tied behind it. No, Xenocrisis did not come out yet. True Sinister. Those guys are still working on that. I think they gave an update this week or last week on their blog. I think they're doing the Dreamcast version and finishing that up, and maybe that may have even gone gold, and then they're going to push out the Neo Geo version. Yeah, the Neo Geo X is okay. I heard actually the Neo Geo X isn't bad if you apply the hack and fix some of the shortcomings on it. That a lot of that can, like the whole 16:9 on the screen, like you can change that with the hack, and you can load some of your other games and change the emulator out even, and that actually isn't a bad way to go. Oh, good. You sold the Street Fighter 2 pinball. I'm glad that's gone, so I don't have to like think about that anymore. I have friends who never buy anything and they're content with life. Yeah, I'm trying to get there. I'm trying to get there myself. The game that's running is Kraut. It's an NG dev game for Neo Geo. Yeah, I appreciate the Scott Pilgrim versus the World chat that's going on here, because I don't know anything about that. I watched the movie one time when it first came out, and I don't know. I just didn't. I didn't hate it. Didn't love it. I just didn't quite get it, and I don't know anything. I see you're mentioning it's a comic, and I don't know. I don't know much about it. Lily, we're not watching Scott Pilgrim. No, you're watching Lily. Oh, that's actually a great topic. I got The Wizard on Blu-ray this week, and Lily says she doesn't want to watch it. Can you guys believe that? She doesn't want to watch The Wizard. If Neo Geo came out in 2020, what size? I think physically you'd be looking at like Switch SD card style things physically. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see where we're at. I think it's funny you're asking about the size. I forget, they did on the Samurai Showdown case for the not the re-release, but the new Samurai Showdown that SNK put out, and they did a fake like shockbox style case for it. I think they did a couple of those actually for conventions and special editions. They did put like I forget, like 250,000 megs or something like that on the bottom left of the case. Yeah, Streets of Rage 4 getting some more love tonight. If you don't feel old yet, think about how old the iPod is. You know what makes me like feel better about being old is when I think about, like, I'm 41 years old right now, right? And I'm like, shit, I'm in my 40s. Like, this is crazy. Like, what has happened? But then I think, well, I still got like 25 years left to work before I retire. And then suddenly it seems like a long time. Yeah, Pondering Ghost is calling out that jailbreak for the Neo Geo X. That I definitely would. I've heard multiple people say that, so I would look into that if you have it. And I'm a big DC guy. I'm assuming. Did I get into any independent series? There was. I'm trying to think. Not. The short answer is no. I read a little bit of Wildcats back in the day, but not a ton. Not enough that I could speak intelligently about any independent series. Yeah, the new Samurai Showdown is not bad for what it is. It was better than I expected. That movie's way more... Don't tell Lily that the movie's depressing. Do I think it's worth buying a Neo Geo AES? I think it's worth it if you can get... If you want to play the games and you want to play on original hardware, I think it's worth it. If you want to collect games, I mean, you're looking at taking out probably a loan to start collecting Neo Geo AES, but playing the games, you could get a Neo Geo AES, you could get a Neo SD flash card, and you could play on original hardware. And if you want to just play games on original hardware, you could go that route, and that might be the easiest way to go. You can get a consoleized MVS system too. I know JNX isn't doing them, but they sell them on AliExpress. I think a lot of the issues originally that came with those from a voltage perspective have been corrected, so you are rolling the die a little when you're buying something like from China that's being handmade like that. But and you could get an MVS style flash card for the consoleized MVS systems too. But Yeah, the AES isn't a bad way to go if you're collecting home consoles and then you want to get a flash cart for it. There's also the 161 in one cart, which isn't technically a flash cart, but it's cheaper and it'll give you, you know, a similar experience, even though not all the games on that are emulated. I shouldn't say emulated. They're not dumped correctly. There's sound issues. There's graphics issues on some of them, but yeah, you could definitely get an AES and make that work. We all 40s, but look and act 20s. Yeah, I like to think that, but I don't know. And I feel like I'm 60 some days. It is true. Captain Retro, 40s nowadays is 20s 60 years ago. That is true. If you ever look at like pictures of people, somebody had a post, I think, on Instagram, and it was crazy. Like, it was posting pictures of people who were in their 20s from like different decades, and all those people look like it was unbelievable how the clothes and styling and everything just dated those people. I do still have my hair, Andy, and Lily would tell you that I am graying, however. Did I check out the hidden games on the TG16 Mini? I did. I looked into that. You know, I know holding down select, there's some button combos that unlock different things, arcade versions and some others. Yeah, I did look at that. That's pretty cool. I like that those were included. Yeah, I'm trying to answer questions. The chat's scrolling pretty fast here on my side, so I'm trying to pick out what I can. Do I think it's worth getting original Neo Geo hardware to play on an LCD? I play on an LCD, so the capture you're watching probably for the 5th time over at this point, I play that on an LCD. It's just easier for me from a standpoint of making videos and stuff. It's way easier. I use a RetroTink 2X to take the component video and give the TV a 480p signal. Other people, if you know you're really baller, you got the OSSC or a FrameMeister, that works too. But yeah, I mean, there's no shame in using an LCD. I have CRTs in my basement, and I was using a CRT as my primary retro gaming television. And some people probably think that's heresy to not still be doing that, but yeah, just from a simplicity standpoint, going HDMI has been so much simpler for captures and getting stuff prepped and to use in videos. Oh yeah, somebody called that out. I see Simbin is calling out the CD SD loader. That's a cool route too. So you're right. That's another option. So you could get a Neo Geo CD, and then there's an SD card loader for that now that you can install, and you can load the ROMs up and basically just play it. It works similar to like a flash cart, and I think people in the last chat were saying that the loading times are dramatically improved off of that too. People were so thin and well put together. They could be 20 or 63. Isn't that the truth? Yeah, the super graphics is cool. I have you're right. I think there's only like 5 or 6 games. I have those sitting on my computer. I'm just waiting for the hack to come out for the PC Engine Mini or TurboGrafx 16 Mini, so I can load those up. Yeah, the RetroTink 2X Pro, Mike Chi did a great job with those RetroTinks. I know some people are kind of, you know, the RetroTink 2X Pro, I feel for him. It's very similar to the NG Dev situation we just talked about. You've got an independent developer putting something together, time, effort, designing PCBs, sending those things off to China. I know Mike was like hand soldering the initial batch himself to put together to sell. And so cost just goes up. And so he's not, you know, it's a good product and he's supporting it. You can do firmware updates on your own now. And but people are kind of pushing back a little because it's $100 or close to $100, I think, for the RetroTink 2X Pro. And you're entering into OSSC territory at that point. So I mean, I get it, but it is a good product. I use it consistently. Mike's been very good to me as far as keeping me up to date with things, and I always try to have a video ready to go for him if he's putting out something new. Yeah, CT, the carts versus discs thing, that is interesting. Yeah, I don't feel as nostalgic to like disc-based systems as I probably should. When things started going that route, I still play games, of course, and I still love games, and Xbox, PlayStation, all that. But I don't know. I don't feel the same about a disc as I do a cart. I don't know why that is. Any thoughts on the Polymega? I don't know. I don't know enough about it. I kind of teased about that for a long time. Just kind of making fun. It seemed like they kept changing their tune. It was going to be FPGA. It wasn't. And then it wasn't going to be emulation. It was going to be something else, but it wasn't FPGA. And then I don't know. I don't even know what it ended up being. But they changed their minds so many times on that. It's probably a great option for somebody that wants to get into retro gaming and doesn't want to buy a lot of systems, but I don't know enough about it to make an intelligent comment about it right now. Yeah, I mean, Neo Geo is just expensive. I mean, it just inherently is. If you're going to collect for it, I mean, AES is astronomical, and for even the MVS carts, it's been one of those things where it can get out of hand fast. I mean, the MVS carts have gone up a lot in price. Games that were like $40-$50, even like 5-6 years ago, have ventured into the $100 range. Hybrid emulation. What the hell does that mean? Yeah, I mean, I'm not calling you out. I'm wondering if that's what they're tagging it as. I don't know what that means really. Have I gotten to spend some quality time with Virtua Racing? I plan to this weekend. I plan to take a few laps down there. It's funny because it's hard with a game like that. Like the true charm of a twin racer is racing somebody on it, right? And so with the current quarantine stuff, we're not exactly having people over at the house. People don't want to come over to the house. I've got people who I know have been out in public a lot and have had like a lot of things that they involved with the public and doing a lot of things like that, where I don't know if it's just to disclose. I mean, I've got a compromised immune system myself, so I don't necessarily want somebody over who may be ill. So all that to say, I hope that soon I can have people over to start racing on Virtua Racer. Do I think any other mini consoles are in the works, or the TG60 Mini is the last? I think you'll still continue to see mini consoles cranked out because there's money to be made off of them. I'm sure SNK will put another one out. I'm sure at some point when Nintendo is ready. I know N64 emulation's a little, but look, they're doing it on Wii U. I'm sure you'll see that eventually when the time is right. I don't think you've seen the last of the minis. Any chance I'm playing a fighting game right now? No, I'm not. I'm actually just hanging out, talking to you guys, and just letting Krautbuster game cap roll for, I don't know how long it's been looping, but yeah. Lily, you'll race me? You said on the last video, Lily, you've never played an arcade. You've never been to an arcade. You have no interest in those. Race against Lily. Everybody wants to see that. I think Lily was actually you were talking about you wanted to do a video of us racing, which is hard to do because just capturing footage off of that. I don't have a great way to capture arcade footage right now. Not to mention that's not a straight like JAMA connection, so there's a lot involved with it. And then there's 2 of us, and it's just, I don't know. I'd need almost like a third person to be like the cameraman for that. It's funny, Paps, you mentioned that about about putting out the SNES Junior, Nintendo Junior. We were talking about what would the market be for Nintendo to do something like that, where even if they start selling physical copies of, and it was for Switch, and they put like a collection together, and it was like a black box nod, and you sold it in the black box, but when you open the black box open, it was like the Switch case. People would love that stuff. No, Pondering Ghost. Krautbuster is the only NG dev game that I have. Oh, Dragon Spirit's a good game. I actually saw the arcade cabinet for Dragon Spirit the last time I was in Columbus. I'm trying to think if it was 16-bit or I think it was Level 1 Arcade in Columbus had the Dragon Spirit arcade machine. That was probably like a year and a half, 2 years ago I was there. But yeah, it was cool. They had it and I played it. Yeah, I tried to get Lily to play a bonk game. She didn't want to. So. Oh, Munster's pinball machine for Captain Retro. I really want a Tron. That's what I really want. I want a Tron pinball machine. Yeah, you know, the SNK making clone sticks again. You know, the Arcade Stick Pro is USB and can be used on other consoles. It's not the worst route to go if you're waiting on new SNK hardware. It's really not a bad system out of the box. Lily trolling me on my own feed. Hey, Media Glitch, look at you. Man, we're getting all the big names in here. This is awesome. Definitely check out Media Glitch and Captain Retro's channels if you guys aren't already subscribed. Especially if you, well, I was going to say if you like retro gaming, but who here doesn't? Yeah, I think the N64 Mini would be, I mean, that anything Nintendo puts out at this point in that vein, I think will be a home run. Like people are just going to buy it for sure. What games would you put on the N64 Mini? That would be the question. I've been pretty hard on the N64 Mini, kind of like taking some jabs at it in different games and videos and stuff that I've done. But I don't know. I don't have a ton of love for the N64. I feel like I was let down by that at the time. There's a lot of hype, and Mario 64 came out of the gate, was huge. It was awesome. Played a lot of it. Blast Corps I played a lot of. Obviously GoldenEye, Wave Race. And then I felt like there was like this lull, and the games that came out they just weren't that great. And I know, go ahead, you can sound off in the comment. I know, I'm watching the chat. But I don't know. I switched over to PlayStation pretty quickly at some point, and I don't know. N64 just kind of fell off, and I don't think it's aged well. It doesn't really make me want to revisit it all that much these days. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Captain Retro. Tron is. I've never seen it for less than that. It was selling locally here in Harrisburg area, and I think it was pretty much. I think it was like $7K the guy was asking for. What I really liked about Captain Retro, I feel bad because it's sometimes hard. There's so many great YouTubers and people on here that, people that I connect with, occasionally I'll message, we'll have a conversation back and forth on Twitter or whatever. But it's hard to find time to do videos, edit, work, and then go back and watch everybody else's videos and stuff. I have caught Captain Retro's live streams from time to time, and he's one of the few guys that like will stream pinball, and that's impressive. So definitely, if you want to see something that's not the norm, just somebody playing Mario or some dingus just streaming a Krautbuster game that he recorded yesterday. If you want to see something different and you want to watch live pinball, check out Captain Retro. Yeah, Media Glitch, Killer Instinct Gold, and the Mortal Kombat trilogy. Those are great. I would agree. Those are yeah, Killer Instinct in particular. I really did have a soft spot for Doom 64. I see somebody called that out too. Yeah, those are good. I also really like Diddy Kong's Racing, which I know a lot of people are all Mario Kart. I really like Diddy Kong. Flash Gordon Pinball. I actually played that. I played that. There was a guy in college, Jason. He lived with us for 1 year, and some random night, I can't even begin to get into it, but we had to take him to like his dad's house, and his dad's house was like, it was unbelievable. I feel like it's probably what people would think of my place if they wandered in, only if it was trashed. There was Highlander stuff everywhere in this guy's dad's house, but in the corner, he had Flash Gordon pinball. It's bizarre. It's so weird you brought that up, because I forgot about that memory until you until you called that out. Yeah, rare games are I mean, they're pivotal for that N64 library. If you take away those rare games, I mean, even like Blast Corps I was just talking about, it's a big dent in the quality of the library that the N64 is carrying. Yeah, Killer Instinct Gold via the N64 HDMI. I do have my N64 HDMI modded, and you're right. Killer Instinct Gold looks great. I didn't realize Flash Gordon's used in tournaments. That's it. I mean, I don't really even know. It's funny how little. I mean, I like to play pinball, but it's funny how little I know about like that scene as far as different stuff. Like, I don't know anything about. I not even close to the amount of information on pinball as I do for like retro games and video games. I wouldn't even know. I mean, obviously I know you can rack up a score in pinball. I'm guessing that's what a tournament consists of. You get like 3 balls and see who gets the highest score, and you like single elimination. Is that what a tournament? I don't even know. I did not hear about the 20 free Neo Geo games via Twitch Prime. I did not see that. I'll have to look that up. Yeah, I really like Diddy Kong Racing. Cruisin' USA, I'll be honest with you. I didn't really like Cruisin' USA in the arcade. If it was that or Daytona, it was Daytona all day long. And so, I mean, I played it a handful of times, but I never was a big Cruisin' USA fan. There's a guy that had a Cruisin' USA twin cab for sale locally, and it was a really cool, it was in good shape, cool looking machine. He had the neon header for it. Like in cursive, it said Cruisin' USA, and it was in red neon written out. It was so I guess he had hunted that down separately, took really good care of it, and he was only asking like, I think it was like $500 or $600 for this twin Cruisin' USA, and even at that price, I just wasn't that interested. I just don't think I would play it that much. I would much rather have Virtua Racing or Daytona over Cruising. I just didn't want to dedicate the space to it, but. Yeah, I mean, I certainly play it on the N64 if you like that game, like have at it. I just never like clicked for me. Turok 2, that's funny you say that, because Turok 2 was a game that I played a lot of and finished as well. Oh, Mace the Dark Age for N64, yeah. I know of it. I'm not going to pretend I've played a ton of it, but I know of it. I know graphically, like, it's cool. Die Hard 2 pinball. I don't know if I've ever played that. Have a the Atari 2600. Yeah, I want to say that was Christmas of '82 or '83 when I got the Atari 2600. That was my first ever like real console that I got. I was only like 3 or 4 when I was given that. New to Neo Geo, AES or MVS. I mean, we kind of just we talked a little bit about that. I mean, if you just want to play games on original hardware, you could go AES. You get a flash cart like the Neo SD or Darksoft cart and go have at it with the AES. If you want to actually collect some carts, you could still do AES, but you're going to be limited because of how, well, I shouldn't say that. I would assume most people are going to be limited based on price of AES games, but MVS for sure, it's a little bit more feasible. They're not as outrageous, even though they are kind of creeping up a little bit. But yeah, you could do either at this point. The interesting thing with MVS is finding somebody who's good at consoleizing boards and will do a good job for you. Top 5 arcade cabinets. I'm going to toss that back out to the group. That's a good question for everybody in the chat. Wow. I mean, it's hard. It's funny because I think when you ask the top 5 arcade cabinets, it's like, do you want to be cool, or do you want to say what you actually really played a lot of? I mean, NBA Jam probably is up there. Open Ice, which I know is a little bit more rare, but when that came out, I'm a huge hockey fan, and when Open Ice was in the arcade, I spent so many afternoons playing Midway's NHL 2-on-2 Open Ice. That's in there for me. Daytona for sure. I mean, how could I not say that? Street Fighter 2, right? I mean, that's a lame answer, but I mean, how many times have you guys played Street Fighter 2 in the arcade? I mean, maybe some of you guys are too young, but that was a big deal. To not say that, I couldn't exclude it just for the sake of being cool. I don't know how many I just named, but those are the top ones that are standing out for me. I also was a big Lethal Enforcers fan. Anything with a gun at that time. Lethal Enforcers, Time Crisis for sure. Probably over 5 at this point. And I also was a big sucker for Mad Dog McCree. I'm not gonna pretend. I really liked Mad Dog McCree. Turtles, yeah. X-Men versus Street Fighter. Yeah, Open Ice, a lot of people, I think when I talked about that on the hockey game video that I did, a lot of people were commenting that they didn't even really know that game existed. It flew a little under the radar. It's weird because we had Blitz, football, then we had NBA Jam, and then hockey, right? And it fits right in there, but it just wasn't as popular. Oh, Paps calling out the Star Wars arcade, the graphics one. That's that sit down with that blue side art with Darth Vader ripped across the side. And, oh man, sitting in that thing in Chuck E. Cheese was unbelievable. Media Glitch calling out Killer Instinct. He's got that in his house. Beautiful. That's amazing. I know sometimes people have both Killer Instinct 1 and 2 wired up. I don't know if you've got that going on, and then the compact flash cards for those too. I saw a Killer Instinct board for sale not too long ago, but I don't know that I got a great way to wire that up right now. It's not necessary. I've got more than enough going on. Yeah, Astro City with Third Strike is pretty. I do feel pretty fortunate to be able to throw that in the Astro City and play that. Yeah, Miss Pac-Man, I think. I would definitely go Miss Pac-Man over regular Pac-Man. My favorite Neo Geo game, it's funny. I think the last time when somebody asked me last week, my answer was ask me, on a different day, and I'll probably have a different answer. I mean, I always go back to Metal Slug. I mean, I love Metal Slug. I know the third one is technically the best, but I do love playing the first Metal Slug. Pulse Star really stands out there. That was really a grind for me to memorize and learn Pulse Star and eventually like finish and beat that. That was just such a sense of accomplishment, which is weird as a 40-year-old adult to say that. But yeah, I was really proud of myself for going through and learning. And I love the music on Pulse Star. So that stands out as probably like my top shooter on Neo Geo. And I really do love that game. It can be aggravating. It's a very difficult game. You can't just sit down and like rip through it and coin feed that, or else you'll get really frustrated if you don't start memorizing patterns and things on that. So it teaches you to be a good game, and it rewards you for that. I like that. It's a very fair game in that regards. If you give it the time, then you can get through it and finish it. Viewpoint, on the other hand, that's been a real burden. Yeah, Killer Instinct is I think there is a hard drive for that, PAPS, but you can disconnect the hard drive, and a lot of people are just going with the compact flash cart that you can just plug right into where the hard drive used to be. Because the hard drives are getting hot, and some of them are wearing down and burning out, and I don't know. I think there's been some tests where people have done load times with the compact flash carts versus the hard drives, but I think it's minimal as far as the gain goes, but it's less powered, less heat, and more reliable from a data perspective. The Midway Sports Station cabinet I have downstairs, the Showtime and NFL Blitz, I disconnected the hard drive from that, and that's running off of compact flash now. Yeah, what year did I start collecting Neo Geo? 2008. Yeah, it's funny. I think I mentioned that last time too. I started buying MVS carts before I had a way to play them, just because I knew like I wanted to collect them. I know that sounds a little crazy, but then it also was kind of driving that goal. Like, I want to get a Neo Geo arcade cabinet and or like a Neo Geo system, like a consoleized board. Obviously, I got the consoleized board first and then worked into the arcade cabinet, and I still play both. I play the Neo Geo arcade cabinet and I play the JNX consoleized MVS board. But yeah, I would say it's probably around then too. I think you said 2008. I think that's probably about right. I want to say it's about 13 years ago for me too. Russian Attack on the arcade. That was great. I remember playing that. They had that at Capital City Mall. Isn't that weird how you can like call out where you remember like what locations had what games? Because you had to know, and you had to like talk to your friends to find if you wanted to play a certain game, you had to know where to go to play it. What was my first 3 MVS carts? Metal Slug was the first. I think I got Magician Lord, and then I looked for Nom 1975, but I don't think that came until later. I don't know what the third one was. I know Metal Slug was first. That was like the go-to, but and I actually since sold that Metal Slug cart that I picked up because I found a Metal Slug with a holographic label. The first Metal Slug. There's a few of those that have the holographic label on them. I just it was like a 1-for-1 swap. I don't know why. I was impulsive at the time. Bowling alley. Yeah, I mean bowling alleys had arcade machines. Like, you're right. Like, you just had to know where they were. Oh, look at Captain Retro just showing off. Just $2,400 for your virtual pinball. That's nice, man. The cocktail cabinets too. Those were big at Pizza Hut. I don't know if you guys remember that. Pizza Hut has come up a lot in this live stream. But yeah, Pizza Hut was. I mean, I think that was a common thing. You just wander into a Pizza Hut and you got the cocktail cabinet sitting there, like in the waiting area, like before you'd be seated. Tron and Miss Pac-Man were pretty popular. And I know they had my Pizza had Afterburner at one point, not as a sit-down cocktail, but as the upright machine. Oh, Street Fighter 1 is terrible. I tried to play that. I have, it's Fighting Street for TurboGrafx, but it's brutal. It's not even worth it from a nostalgia standpoint or a history standpoint. It's not a good game. Did you see the Speed Rumbler I picked up? I did not see that, Captain. I'll have to check that out after the stream here. Which 3 MVS carts annoyed you to have to buy? Probably the there's all the Mahjong games and the quiz games. Setting those aside, because I think those almost don't count for this question, but all of those. But then Legend of Success Joe. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. I would not recommend playing it, buying it. That's a bad game. I'd also say Power Spikes 2 is a brutal Neo Geo game. I absolutely despise it. I've actually been thinking, I started putting like a little outline together of the worst on Neo Geo, and those 2 games definitely make that cut. If you're asking for a third game, I don't know. Taking a peek here, what I got. Pretty much everything else I have played, but those 2 games just Legend of Success Joe and Power Spikes 2 are brutal. I hate those games. I actually don't know what the Speed Rumbler is. Yeah, I see Kabir just... Yeah, do not play Power Spikes 2 or Legend of Success Joe. They're brutal. There's another game that... I'm trying to think what it was. Yeah, this might be somewhat controversial, but Neo Mr. Do, like, that game I can get into that for 20 minutes, and I'm just done. Like, I cannot do... I can't do the do, so to speak. It's just not... that game drives me crazy. Yeah, I get it, Paps. It's kind of like when I was collecting stuff for the Wii U as well. Like all those, like dance party games, like it just kills you inside. Like if you're trying to assemble like a collection, it's where you start questioning like, what am I doing with my life? Like why am I buying this? Why is it necessary to have like a complete Wii U collection? I do not need these dance party games. But yeah, that's kind of how I feel about like the quiz and Mahjong games on Neo Geo. Preferred controller for the Neo Geo. I mean, I actually really do like the CD controller for most games. There are titles like Nom, Metal Slug. I'll prefer the stick to. But I don't mind the CD controller. I think it's great. I like how it clicks. It fits in your hand. It gives you that console feeling when you just kind of want to sit on the couch instead of being on the arcade machine. But I have found that I've gotten somewhat addicted to the sticks and going from the Neo Geo cabinet and then trying to translate playing on the consoleized system with the CD controller can sometimes be hard, and I'll have to switch to the stick. So I don't know if I really answered your question. I like both, but I'll use the CD controller when I can. Do I play any non-retro games on my off time? Not many. I don't own PlayStation 3, 4. My Xbox 360 is disconnected right now. I haven't had that hooked up in a long time. Don't own an Xbox One. Sold the Switch. I really do not play modern games. And I do like Rage of the Dragons. You can probably see over the shoulder here. I got a Rage of the Dragons poster up on the wall. Yeah, Paps, I know you got that Hori fighting stick. I've never used that or played with that on the Neo. I was never able to pick one of those up. Trolling me. Which arcade one-up game would I buy? Look, I know that video. It's unbelievable. Like it makes me so mad because it's like I've put so much time and effort into other videos and things that I've done, and that video goes out. It gets 100,000 views. It has a split like right down the middle, likes versus dislikes, and it was just an opinion. It was something I did on a whim, and it's just such a that pisses me off that video got so popular when I've spent so much constructive time on other videos that I've done. Yeah, I'm not really as opposed to those. I mean, look, if that's what you want to get, like you should have at it. You know, like you should play those. You should if that fits your budget and fits in the room that you have, the space you have, you should absolutely get that and play and enjoy them. That's really not the message I was trying to send when I recorded that video. I don't know. The Star Wars arcade machine from Arcade 1-Up seems to have gotten decent reviews, like the yoke and everything. People who have the original have said it's not actually bad. So I don't know. I'd be interested in trying it. I'm always put off by the size of those. I just can't wrap my head around it. But it's not for me, as people have said. So it's okay. Oh, geez. Speed Rumbler. It's the sequel and prequel to Bionic Commando. Plays like original Commando meets RC Pro-Am. Doesn't sound bad. And looks like the top-down GTA. Well, that sounds awesome. I will definitely check that out. Yeah, I think getting them cheap and modding them seems to be what people prefer to do. So... yeah, I saw people were picking them up for like $50 most recently. Well, I think I said I was going to stream for like an hour and hang out here, and conversation's been pretty good. Captain Retro, Media Glitch, and all of these names that I see in the comments so frequently stopping by, pushing midnight here, so I may call it a night here at some point here in the next few minutes. You guys are not sick of watching Kraut just roll here on? I don't even know if anybody's commented or watched that. I was worried because I played pretty like trash on that last night because I just wanted to have the video for the stream, and I don't even think anybody paid attention or cares, which is fine by me. Yeah, the Magic Trashman modded mini pad isn't bad, but yeah, I would agree. What I don't like about the modded Neo, and it's not Magic Trashman's fault at all, it's just the stick. The stick just has such a wide range of motion that it feels like you're really pushing that thing around the surface of the pad. It's just not the same as the original CD controller that I'm used to, and I had a hard time with that. I mean, I love a track mode in general, like just putting the arcade machines I have on a track mode and just like having that. One of my friends was over, said just turn all these things on and just let me listen to it and turn the lights off. And it's very zen in that way. Yeah, I like being able to just chat and hang out and see what questions people have, and just seeing. I like seeing what you guys have to offer. We talked about a lot of stuff tonight. Pizza Hut came up a lot. Indiana Jones, Back to the Future. Talked about Neo Geo, Arcade 1-Up. Yeah, thanks, Frank. I appreciate that. I got to get some more things out. I got a few scripts that are like half-baked things I want to put together. I got a few days off here in the holiday. I'm hoping to finish some things up and put some more normal content out where Lily's not just playing games with me. So I guess I just will say I hope everybody has a great weekend. Thanks so much for stopping by. My current viewer and stats and everything here froze on me a while ago, so I have no idea who joined. I don't really care. It's never about the numbers for me. I do like seeing the names, like I said, people that I know and have interacted with, and that's what's really important. So I appreciate all you guys stopping by. Thanks so much. Have a great weekend. Try to do this again maybe next week if you guys aren't sick of this. Try to find a different game for you guys to not watch, and we'll try it again. Have a great night, everyone. Catch you later.